Valith Sorn stood at the great window of her father's palace and watched the human ship descend through the clouds. It was a small vessel, gray and simple, nothing like the elegant golden cruisers of her people. She felt her stomach twist with disgust and fear. Today she would meet the man she was supposed to marry. The war between the Talwari Empire and Earth had lasted 3 long years. Millions had died on both sides. Valith had lost friends, cousins, and her oldest brother to human weapons. Now, after a battle that left both fleets destroyed, the leaders had agreed to peace, but peace needed a symbol, something to show that the two species could live together. Her father, Chancellor Moreth Sorn, had offered a solution that made Valith's blood run cold: a marriage. His daughter to a human officer. You look troubled, her father said from behind her. Valith turned to face him. Moreth was old now, his silver skin marked with the lines of worry and war. His 4 eyes, once bright purple, had faded to tired gray. I am doing my duty, Valith said. That does not mean I must enjoy it. The humans are not what you think. Moreth said quietly. I have negotiated with them for months. They are strange, yes, emotional, unpredictable, but they are not monsters. They killed Korath, Valith said, speaking of her brother. They burned our colonies. They and we killed their people too. Moreth interrupted. War makes monsters of everyone, daughter. That is why we must end it. Valith said nothing. She turned back to the window and watched the human ship land in the courtyard below. The ceremony was held that evening, the Grand Hall of Unity. Thousands of Telvari nobles filled the room, their faces a mixture of curiosity and barely hidden contempt. Human diplomats stood on the other side, looking small and fragile among the tall, silver-skinned Telvari. Valith wore the traditional white robes of a Telvari bride. Her long dark hair was braided with silver threads and her 4 eyes were painted with ceremonial gold. She looked beautiful and she felt like a prisoner walking to her cell. Then she saw him. The human walked down the aisle alone, wearing a simple black uniform with silver buttons. He was shorter than her by half a head, with brown skin, black hair cut short, and dark eyes that seemed too soft for a soldier. He moved quietly, almost carefully, like a man trying not to disturb the air around him. This was Daniel Cole, the man Earth had chosen for her. Valith felt a wave of disappointment crash through her. She had heard stories of human warriors during the war, fierce creatures who fought like wild animals, who screamed battle cries and charged into impossible odds. She had expected someone dangerous, someone worthy of fear. Instead, she got this: a quiet man with gentle eyes and a nervous smile. He stopped before her and bowed his head in the Telvari way. Lady Valith, he said. His voice was soft and calm. Thank you for this honor. Valith stared at him. You speak our language. I learned it, Daniel said. I thought it would be respectful. She did not know what to say to that. No human she had ever met had bothered to learn Talari. Most of them could barely pronounce her name. The ceremony was quick and cold. They exchanged vows, written by diplomats, words about peace and unity that meant nothing to either of them. When it was over, they were married in the eyes of both their peoples. Valith felt nothing. The wedding feast lasted until midnight. Valith sat at the high table with Daniel beside her. eating food she could not taste and listening to speeches she did not hear. Daniel sat quietly through all of it, never complaining, never demanding attention. He ate small portions of the Talari food and drank only water. At one point, a group of young Talari nobles approached their table. Valeth recognized them as friends of her late brother. So this is the human, one of them said, looking at Daniel like he was an insect. I expected someone bigger. Daniel looked up at them with calm eyes. I apologize for disappointing you. The nobles laughed cruelly. Does it speak? How amusing. Tell me, human, did your people send their weakest warrior? Or are you all this small and soft? Valeth felt anger rise in her chest, though she did not understand why. These were her people, mocking her enemy. She should be pleased, but Daniel only smiled. It was a strange smile, one that did not reach his eyes. We come in all sizes, he said simply. Just like courage. The nobles did not know how to respond to that. They laughed again, but it was an uncertain sound, and they walked away. Quickly, Valeth watched them go, then turned to Daniel. You did not defend yourself. There was nothing to defend, Daniel said. They are angry because they lost people they loved. I understand that. You understand. Valarith repeated. You killed our people. Daniel's eyes grew sad. And your people killed mine. That is what war does. He paused. I did not come here to fight, lady Valarith. I came here to help build something better. Valarith did not know what to say. She had expected hatred from him, or at least cold professionalism. She had not expected this quiet kindness. The feast ended late. Servants led them to their new chambers, a large suite in the east wing of the palace. Valarith stood by the door, unsure of what came next, but Daniel entered behind her and looked around the room. Then he picked up a blanket from the bed and walked toward a small couch by the window. What are you doing? Valarith asked. I will sleep here, Daniel said. This marriage is political. I will not ask anything from you that you do not wish to give. He settled onto the couch, which was clearly too small for him, and closed his eyes. Valarith stared at him for a long moment. In Telvari culture, a husband had rights over his wife. It was expected, demanded. But this human asked for nothing. He gave her space without being asked. She did not understand him at all. But later that night, Valarith lay awake in the large bed, listening to the quiet sound of Daniel breathing across the room. Through her window she could hear voices from the garden below. She recognized them as the young nobles from the feast. Did you see him? One said, that soft little creature. That is what our princess married. A weak, pathetic human. The chancellor has sold his daughter too. A coward, another agreed. The humans must be laughing at us. Valeth waited for the anger to come. Agreement with their words. But instead she felt something strain in her chest. Something that felt almost like irritation, not at Daniel but at them. She turned away from the window and stared at the ceiling, more confused than ever. Somewhere across the room, her strange human husband slept peacefully, dreaming of things she could not imagine, and Valeth wondered, for the first time, if there was more to Daniel Cole than what her eyes could see. 3 months passed on the border world. of the Naristvia elite, and Daniel had been sent to live in a small estate far from the capital. The diplomats said it was for their safety. Valeth knew it was really to keep them away from politics. A mixed couple was useful as a symbol, but no one wanted them too close to power. She did not mind. The estate was quiet and beautiful, surrounded by purple forests and silver lakes. It was a peaceful place, far from the memories of war. What she did mind was her husband. Daniel Cole was the strangest man she had ever known. Every morning he woke before sunrise and worked in the garden behind their house. He grew vegetables and flowers, digging in the dirt with his bare hands like a common farmer. Valeth watched him from her window, confused and slightly disgusted. "You have servants for that," she told him once. Daniel looked up at her with dirt on his face and smiled. "I like doing it myself. It helps me think." He cooked their meals too, learning Talvari recipes from books and asking the servants for help. The food was simple, but surprisingly good. Valeth found herself looking forward to dinner, though she would never admit it. In the evenings he read. He had brought dozens of books from Earth, and he'd read them slowly, sometimes stopping to write notes in a small journal. When Valeth asked what he was reading, he showed her titles about history, philosophy and poetry, but no military books, no tactics or weapons, just stories and ideas. "You were a soldier," Valeth said one night as they sat in the living room. "How can you spend your days gardening and reading?" Daniel looked up from his book. "Because I do not want to be a soldier anymore." "That is not how it works," Valeth said. "War shapes you. It does not let you go." Something dark passed across Daniel's eyes, so quick she almost missed it. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual gentle expression. "Maybe," he said quietly, "but I can try." Valeth wanted to push further, but something stopped her. There was a sadness in Daniel that she did not understand, a weight he carried that she could not see. The next day, while Daniel was in the garden, Valeth went to his study. She felt guilty, but curiosity burned inside her. She needed to understand this man she had married. She found his military file on his desk. It was mostly empty, just basic information about his rank and service dates, but large sections were blacked out, marked with the words classified level 9. Level 9 was the highest security clearance in the human military. Only the most dangerous secrets were hidden there. Valeth accessed the Talvari military database on her personal screen. She searched for any records of a human officer named Daniel Cole. What she found made her blood turn cold. The file was thin, but it contained a single note from a Talvari intelligence officer. Subject believed to be connected to the Vareth Minor incident. Extreme caution advised. Do not engage. Vareth Minor. Via ELITS. Remembered that name. Every Talvari did. It was the battle that had broken the Empire's spirit. A single human squadron had destroyed 11 Talvari capital ships in one night. 30,000 Talvari soldiers had died. The commander of that fleet had been her cousin, Admiral Saleth Vorn. The humans called their leader something else, a name whispered in fear and respect. The Falling Star. Valeth's hands trembled. She closed the files and sat in silence. her mind racing. This could not be true. Daniel was quiet and soft and kind. He grew vegetables and cooked dinner and slept on the couch because he did not want to make her uncomfortable. He was not a killer. He was not a legend, but the evidence was there, hidden in the shadows of his past. That night, Velith confronted him. "I read your file," she said. Daniel was sitting by the fire, a book open in his lap. He did not look surprised. He simply closed the book and set it aside. "I wondered when you would," he said. "Vareth Minor," Velith said. "Were you there?" Daniel was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled between them. "Yes," he finally said. "My cousin commanded that fleet," Velith said. Her voice shook. 30,000 of my people died that night, I know. You killed them." Daniel looked at her. His eyes were not cold or defensive. They were sad. Deeply, terribly sad. "I did what I had to do," he said quietly. "The war needed to end. Both sides were bleeding to death. That battle forced your leaders to negotiate." He paused. "I am not proud of it, Velith. I have never been proud of it." "Then why did you do it?" "Because no one else could." Daniel's voice cracked slightly. "And because if I didn't, the war would have continued for years. Millions more would have died. Human and Talvari both." Velith wanted to scream at him. She wanted to hate him. But looking at his face, she saw something she did not expect: pain. Deep, real pain. This man was not a monster. He was a man who had done monstrous things because he believed it would save lives. And that burden had broken something inside him. Before she could respond, alarm rang through the estate. Both of them froze. Velith's personal screen lit up with an emergency message. She read it quickly, her 4 eyes widening. "A colony near here has been attacked," she said. "The Kreth Dominion, they are raiding the border worlds." Daniel stood up slowly. The softness in his eyes was gone. In its place was something cold, something sharp, something that made Velith's skin prickle with sudden fear. "How many ships?" he asked. His voice had changed. It was harder now, like steel wrapped in silk. "Reports say 40 warships," Velith said. "Both human and Talvari civilians are trapped on the surface." Daniel walked to the window and stared out at the night sky. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he turned back to her. "I need a ship," he said. "You cannot be serious. 40 warships. 40 ships commanded by overconfident raiders who think this is an easy target." Daniel's eyes burned with cold fire. "I have beaten worse odds." Velith stared at him. This was not the quiet gardener she had lived with for 3 months. This was someone else entirely. "I am coming with you," she said. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Why?" Velith lifted her chin. "Because I need to see who I really married." For the first time since she had known him, Daniel Cole smiled, and it was not gentle at all. "Then let us go," he said. "And I will show you." The Coalition frigate Relentless cut through space at maximum speed. Velith stood on the bridge and watched the crew work around her. Every officer moved with sharp precision, their eyes focused and hard. And at the center of it all stood Daniel. He was different now. The quiet man who read poetry and grew vegetables was gone. In his place stood a commander. His voice was calm but firm, each word carrying absolute authority. The crew obeyed him without question, some with respect and others with something that looked almost like fear. "Show me the tactical display," Daniel ordered. A holographic map appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed the colony world of Catharis, surrounded by red dots representing enemy ships. 40 Kreth warships formed a tight ring around the planet. The Kreth are demanding surrender, the communications officer reported. They say they will begin bombarding civilian centers in 6 hours if the colony does not comply. They won't comply, Daniel said. The colonists know what happens to those who surrendered to the Kreth. Valeth felt sick. The Kreth Dominion was known throughout the galaxy for their cruelty. They took prisoners not for ransom, but for labor camps where most died within months. "Our fleet status?" Daniel asked. 7 ships, sir, Commander Kyle Bennett answered. He was a tall human with gray hair and tired eyes. 4 frigates, 2 destroyers, and 1 cruiser. We are outnumbered nearly 6 to 1. Ammunition. Full stores. All ships report ready for combat. Daniel studied the map in silence. His eyes moved across the display like he was reading a book only he could understand. Valeth stepped closer to Commander Bennett. "You know him," she said quietly. "From before." Bennett looked at her with careful eyes. "I served under him during the war, lady." "Valeth." 3 campaigns, what kind of commander is he?" Bennett was silent for a moment. Then he said, "The kind that wins battles no one else can win, and the kind that carries every death with him forever." Valeth looked back at Daniel. The Talvari had a name for him. The Falling Star. Why? "Because of how he fights," Bennett said. "He dives straight into the enemy, burning everything he has, like a star falling from the sky." He paused. At Vareth Minor he flew his own fighter into the heart of the Talvari formation. His ship was hit 17 times. Everyone thought he was dead, but he kept going until the enemy flagship exploded. Valeth felt her throat tighten. "My cousin's fleet." Bennett nodded slowly. "I am sorry, Lady Valeth, but your cousin was about to launch an attack that would have killed millions of human civilians." Daniel stopped him the only way he could, by dying, by being willing to die. Bennett's voice was heavy. "That is what makes him dangerous. He's not afraid of death. He's only afraid of failing the people he is trying to protect." Valeth looked at Daniel again. He was still studying the tactical map, his fingers tracing paths through the enemy formation. She tried to match this cold commander with the gentle man who had slept on a couch to give her space. They were the same person. That was the terrifying truth. Daniel Cole was both the quiet gardener and the falling star. He had simply buried one part of himself, so deep that she had not seen it. Until now. Daniel turned to face the bridge crew. "I have a plan," he said. "It is risky. Some of us may not survive. But if we do this right, we can save those colonists and break the Kreth fleet." "What are your orders, sir?" Bennett asked up. Daniel began to explain. He spoke quickly and clearly, drawing lines on the tactical display as he talked. His plan was unlike anything Valeth had ever heard. He wanted to use the colony's orbital stations as weapons, crashing them into the Kreth formation. He wanted to hide ships in the asteroid field nearby, attacking from unexpected angles. He wanted to draw the Kreth commander into a trap using their own confidence against them. It was brilliant. It was insane. It was exactly the kind of plan that had won the Battle of Varith Minor. This will require perfect timing, Bennett said. One mistake and we all die. Then we will not make mistakes, Daniel replied. The crew exchanged looks. Valeth saw doubt in some faces, but also hoping. These people believed in Daniel. They trusted him with their lives. One more thing, Daniel said. The final strike on the Kreth flagship will require a direct attack. Someone will need to fly through their defensive line and hit them at close range. I can assign a pilot, Bennett offered. No. Daniel's voice was flat. I will do it myself. The bridge fell silent. Valeth felt her heart stop. Sir, that is suicide, Bennett said. Quietly, it is necessary, Daniel replied. The Kreth will not expect the commander to lead from the front. Their surprise will give me the opening I need, and if you die. Daniel looked at Bennett with steady eyes. Then you will complete the mission without me. Valeth stepped forward. You cannot do this, she said. Her voice was louder than she intended. Daniel turned to her. For a moment his cold mask slipped in. She saw something warm beneath it. I have to, he said softly. Those are my people down there. Human and Telvari. They came to this border world because they believed in peace. I will not let them die because I was too afraid to fight. There must be another way. There is not. Daniel reached out and touched her hand. Just for a moment. I am sorry, Valeth. I hoped you would never have to see this. Part of me. Valeth felt tears burn in her 4 eyes. She did not understand why. This man had killed her people. He had destroyed her cousin's fleet. She should want him to die. But she did not. She did not want him to die at all. I want him to die at all. All ships prepare for combat, Daniel announced to the fleet. His voice was strong and steady, like iron that had been forged in fire. Today we show the Kreth what happens when they threaten our people. Today we remind the galaxy why humanity is feared. The crew responded with a single voice. Yes, sir. Daniel looked at the tactical display. One last time. The red dots of the enemy fleet surrounded the planet like a ring of fire. Let us begin, he said. And Valeth watched as her husband walked toward his fate, burning with a light that terrified her and made her heart ache at the same time. This was who she had married. Not a quiet gardener, not a soft scholar, a falling star. Beautiful and deadly and determined to burn himself out for the people he loved. She could only pray that some part of him would survive the fire. The battle began with silence, Star. Daniel had ordered all ships to hold their fire until the perfect moment. 7 small vessels drifted through the darkness of space, running on minimal power, invisible to the Kreth sensors. Valeth stood on the bridge of the relentless, her heart's pounding. Around her the crew waited in tense silence. Every screen showed the enemy fleet. 40 warships arranged in a perfect ring around Cather's colony. Enemy commander is getting impatient. The communications officer whispered. He's threatening to begin the bombardment early. Daniel stood at the command console, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. He had not moved for 20 minutes. His hands were steady but valerious. could see a muscle twitching in his jaw. "Not yet," he murmured. "Wait for it." On the display, 3 orbital stations orbited the planet. They were old cargo platforms, mostly automated. The Kreth had ignored them completely. That was their first mistake. "Station 1 is in position," an officer reported. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Fire the thrusters." On the screen, the first orbital station suddenly accelerated. Its old engines burned bright as it dove straight toward the Kreth formation. The enemy ships scrambled to respond, but they were too slow. The station crashed into 2 Kreth destroyers. All 3 structures exploded in a massive ball of fire. "Stations 2 and 3 go," Daniel ordered. 2 more orbital platforms fell from the sky like hammers from the gods. The Kreth fleet scattered in panic, their tight formation breaking apart. "Now," Daniel said, "all ships attack." 7 coalition vessels burst from the darkness. They emerged from the asteroid field, where they had been hiding, weapons hot and shields at maximum. The Kreth had been looking at the planet, not at the rocks behind them. That was their second mistake. The bridge of the Relentless erupted with activity. Officers shouted reports and coordinates. Weapons fire lit up the screens. The ship shook as it absorbed enemy hits. Through it all, Daniel stood calm and still at the center of the chaos. "Destroyer group, break left. Target their supply ships first." His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Cruiser, cover the frigates. Do not let them flank us." Valeth watched in amazement as Daniel controlled the entire battle. He did not just give orders. He conducted a symphony of destruction. Every command built on the last, every ship movement part of a larger design. The Kreth commander tried to rally his forces. He pulled his remaining ships into a defensive cluster around his flagship, a massive dreadnought covered in weapons. "He is protecting himself," Bennett reported. 30 ships still operational, sir. They are forming a wall." "Good," Daniel said. "That is what I wanted." Valeth looked at him. "You planned this." A frightened commander hides behind his ships. A hidden commander cannot see the battlefield. Daniel's eyes were ice. He just made himself blind. Daniel turned to Bennett. "Take command of the fleet. Keep them busy. Draw their attention. Where are you going?" Valeth asked, though those voice said he already knew. "To finish this." Daniel walked toward the door. The lift grabbed his arm. "You will die," she said. Her voice cracked. Daniel looked at her. For a moment, just a moment, the cold warrior was gone. She saw the man who had slept on a couch for her comfort, the man who grew vegetables and read poetry, the man who had married her hoping to build peace. "Maybe," he said softly, "but those colonists will live. That is enough." He pulled away and walked out the door. Valeth ran to the observation window. She watched as a single fire launched from the Relentless. It was small and fast, almost invisible against the darkness of space. Daniel's ship on the tactical display. She could see him weaving through the battle. He dodged enemy fire with impossible skill, slipping through gaps that should not have existed. The Kreth tried to stop him, but he was too fast, too unpredictable. He was heading straight for the enemy flagship. "He is insane," someone whispered behind her. "No," then it said quietly. "He's just willing to pay the price no one else will pay. The Kareth flagship opened fire with everything it had. Hundreds of weapons targeted Daniel's tiny ship. The space around him became a storm of light and death. He flew through it. Valeth pressed her hands against the window, her breath fogging the glass. She watched as Daniel's fighter took hit after hit. Pieces broke off. Smoke trailed behind him. But he kept going, always forward, never stopping, burning like a star falling from the sky. He's through the defensive line. An officer called out. He is targeting the flagship's reactor core. The Kareth dreadnought tried to run. But it was too large, too slow. Daniel's ship dove toward it like a blade aimed at a heart. "Come on," Valeth whispered. "Come on." Daniel's fighter released its missiles at point-blank range. Then his ship slammed into the flagship's hull in a blinding flash of light. Valeth screamed his name. The dreadnought exploded. It was not a small explosion. It was a son being born and dying in the same moment. The blast consumed the flagship and the 6 ships closest to it. The shockwave sent the remaining Kreth vessels tumbling through space. The enemy fleet broke. Ships that had been fighting seconds ago now fled in all directions, their formation destroyed, their commander dead. But Valeth did not care about the victory. Her eyes searched the debris field, desperately looking for one small ship among the wreckage. "Scan the area," Bennett ordered. His voice was rough. "Find him." Long minutes passed. The crew worked in silence. Valeth could not breathe, could not think, could not do anything but stare at the burning remains of the battle. "Contact!" Someone shouted. "Emergency beacon detected." "It is as it is his escape pod, sir. He ejected before impact." Valeth's legs gave out. She grabbed a console to keep from falling. Relief flooded through her like water breaking through a dam. "Life signs," Bennett demanded. "Weak but stable." "He's badly injured, sir." "But he is alive." Bennett closed his eyes and let out a long breath. Then he turned to the crew. "Get recovery teams out there now. I want him on this ship in 10 minutes. Valeth did not wait for permission. She ran from the bridge, her robes flying behind her. She ran through corridors and downstairs until she reached the medical bay. She would be there when they brought him in. She would be there when he woke up. She did not understand what she was feeling. This man had killed her people. He had destroyed her cousin. He should be her enemy. But as she stood in the medical bay, waiting for the rescue teams to bring in her husband, Valeth realized the truth. She did not want to lose him. She could not lose him, and that terrified her more than any battle ever could. 3 days passed in the medical bay. Valeth did not leave Daniel's side. She slept in a chair next to his bed. She ate whatever food the nurses brought. Sorry. She watched the machines that monitored his breathing and heartbeat, learning the rhythm of each beep and hum. The doctor said he was lucky to be alive. His escape pod had deployed just seconds before his fighter hit the enemy flagship. But those seconds had not been enough to escape the explosion completely. He had burns across his chest and arms, 3 broken ribs, a fractured skull, internal bleeding that took hours of surgery to stop. Any normal person would have died. But Daniel Cole was not normal. Valeth watched him sleep and thought about everything she had seen. The quiet gardener who learned to cook. Her favorite foods. The gentle husband who slept on a couch. To respect her boundaries. The cold commander who had orchestrated the destruction of 40 warships. The burning warrior who had flown straight into death to save strangers. They were all the same man. And that man had chosen to marry her, knowing she might never understand him. On the morning of the 4th day, Daniel opened his eyes. He looked confused at first. His gaze moved slowly around the room, taking in the medical equipment, the white walls, the soft light. Then his eyes found Valerith. "You are still here," he said. His voice was rough and weak. "Where else would I be?" Daniel tried to sit up and winced. Valerith gently pushed him back down. "Do not move," she said. "The doctors say you need rest." Colonists. Safe, all of them. The rescue ships arrived hours after the battle. Not a single civilian was harmed. Daniel closed his eyes. A small smile crossed his face. "Good, that is good." They sat in silence for a while. Valerith listened to his breathing, slow and steady. She had 1,000 questions, but she did not know where to start. Finally, Daniel spoke again. "I'm sorry, Valerith." "For what?" "For scaring you." He opened his eye and looked at her. "For showing you that side of me. I hoped you would never have to see it." Valerith thought about that. 3 months ago, seeing the falling star would have filled her with hatred. She would have felt vindicated. She would have seen proof that humans were violent monsters who deserved to be feared and destroyed. But now, sitting beside his hospital bed, she felt something very different. "You did not scare me," she said slowly. "You confused me. I thought I understood what you were. I thought you were weak and soft. Then I thought you were a killer. But you are neither of those things, are you?" Daniel watched her with tired eyes. "What am I then?" Valerith took a deep breath. "You are someone who would rather die than let innocent people suffer. You are someone who carries the weight of every life you have taken. You are someone who chose to marry me, an enemy, because you believed in peace." She paused. "You are the bravest man I have ever known." Daniel was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. "I never wanted to be a warrior," he said. "I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to help children learn and grow. But the war came, and I discovered I had a gift for destruction." He looked at his bandaged hands. "I told myself it was necessary. I told myself I was saving lives. But every night I see the faces of the people I killed. Your people. My people. They all look the same when they die. That is why you garden," Vela said softly. "Why you cook and read poetry. You are trying to remember how to create instead of destroy." Daniel nodded. "I thought if I could be gentle enough, quiet enough, the warrior would disappear. But he is always there, waiting beneath the surface." "Perhaps that is not a bad thing," Vela said, but Daniel looked at her with surprise. "The warrior saved those colonists," Vela continued. "The warrior ended the war that was killing both our peoples. The warrior is part of you, Daniel. But so is the gardener and the cook and the man who slept on a couch because he wanted me to feel safe." She reached out and took his hand. "You are not a monster. You are a man who became a weapon so that others would not have to." Tears formed in Daniel's eyes. He did not try to hide them. I never thought you would understand. He whispered. Neither did I. Vela squeezed his hand. But I think I finally know what I married. Not a weak human. Not a terrible monster. Just a man with a gentle heart and iron will. And I am proud to be his wife. Daniel stared at her. Then slowly, carefully, he lifted her hand to his lips and kissed it. It was the first truly intimate moment they had shared since their wedding. Vala felt warmth spread through her. Just, I will spend the rest of my life building the peace we both bled for. Daniel said, I promise you that. I know you will. Vala replied, and I will be beside you. A week later, they stood together on the observation deck of the Relentless. Below them, transport ships carried rescued colonists back to their homes. The planet Catharis glowed blue and green, alive and safe because of what Daniel had done. Vala had sent a message to her father. That morning, she had thought carefully about what to write, and in the end the words had come easily. Father, she had written, I did not marry a weapon. I married a man who became a weapon so that others would not have to. I did not marry weakness. I married strength that chooses gentleness. I did not marry a monster. I married a hero who carries his scars in silence. I understand now why humanity could not be defeated. They do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight for love, and that makes them unstoppable. I am honored to be Daniel's wife, and I truly believe that our marriage can help heal the wounds between our peoples. Your daughter Vala. Now she stood beside Daniel watching the sunrise over Catharis. The light painted the sky in shades of orange and gold, beautiful and warm. What are you thinking? Daniel asked. Valais leaned against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart through his chest. I am thinking that falling stars are supposed to bring destruction, she said. But you brought something else. What? She looked up at him and smiled. Hope. Daniel wrapped his arm around her shoulders. Together they watched the colonists return home, proof that even the brightest flames can bring light instead of ruin. Somewhere far away, Valais knew there were still enemies, still wars waiting to happen, still darkness that would need to be fought. But for now, in this moment, there was only peace, and a quiet man with gentle eyes and a warrior's heart standing beside her as the sun rose on a new day. Valais closed her 4 eyes and listened to her husband breathe. She had married a human for truths, and she had found something she never expected. She had found home.